Hey, I'm on the edge of my seat here, back again with another brand new video, and today I'll be no-damaging all the boss fights in Devil May Cry 3 Special Edition on the Nintendo Switch. Whoa, that's a bit of a twist. It will become obvious why this is the Nintendo Switch version, but one thing I should point out is that the visuals are rather different from the original PS2 version, but that won't be the best clue because the HD collections of Devil May Cry 3 and Devil May Cry 1 in general are just very different visually. They're just lacking a lot of the blur effects and some of the more flashy stuff. It's something I want to get into more later on in this video, but right now this is the first boss fight of the game, and as the game goes on, this game decides to make this boss fight a normal enemy. So there's certain like boss fight no damage compilations I've seen on YouTube that just don't include this guy at all. And I was kind of tempted like to not include him, and I won't be including his repeat fights because he just shows up as an enemy. He doesn't even have a health bar. But yeah, no, this guy's pretty cool. The beginning enemies of Devil May Cry 3 I think are probably some of my like favorite hack and slash enemies to just kind of like hit. Any enemy which has a scythe in this game, the little big blade there, the Grim Reaper blade, is just really fun to fight against. I do kind of want to get into strategy with this guy, but these fights tend to go so fast that it's kind of hard to keep up. And there, did you catch that? Boom. This is why I call this the Switch version of the game. For some reason, when they ported this game to Switch, Cerberus! Boom, I did that little voice there, kind of put a little voice changing thing, added some delay. Didn't exactly capture how the devil trigger sounds in this game, but I kind of wanted to do a little in-between. I was kind of experimenting with like little in-between titles for like every boss fight in my previous no damage video, and I think I might make it a staple. Let me know in the comments whether you want to keep seeing that, or if I should just be more low-key about transitions in the near future. But yeah, Cerberus. Before I talk about Cerberus, I should go back to the previous guy. I'm not going to mention his name in the no commentary video, but since this is commentary, the previous enemy is called a Hell Vanguard. And he's just like the big daddy of the Grim Reapers, and he's pretty cool. Basically, like one fun thing I like to do about him is that when he's blocking your attacks, I just kind of hit him until he like retaliates. And this game, it has a bit of a weird dodge. Same thing with the original Devil May Cry 1. Devil May Cry 3, you might not notice this because Devil May Cry 3 also introduces the style system. I have not played Devil May Cry 2, so I'm not going to talk about the innovations from that game from 1 to 2 and 2 to 3. But the innovations from 1 to 3, so Devil May Cry 1 did not have a style-like system, so the B button didn't get used too much. While here, you have 6 different styles. You have Gunslinger here, where Gunslinger has a really cool thing where when you shoot your guns, you actually deal more gun damage, and when you press the B button, you get access to unique gun moves. Swordmaster is similar, where pressing the B button gives you access to unique sword moves. And then you have Trickster, where the B button becomes like a more standard dodge. You finally have a dedicated dodge button. In the first Devil May Cry, you don't have a dedicated dodge button. You have to lock onto the enemy, and then pressing the jump button and moving left or right makes you do a dodge roll. Moving back or forward while locked on makes you jump, and if you're not locked on at all, you just only jump. So it's like, what, if I'm never locked on, I never get to do a dodge? No, because the jump in Devil May Cry 1 and Devil May Cry 3 actually has iframes, so it can function as a standard dodge if you time it correctly. So something I like to do with the Hell Vanguard is that when it finally swings its big scythe, I just jump over it. Like, I just jump straight through it, and if you time it correctly, the scythe won't hit you. But if you time it wrong, well, you know, if you stay too long and you jump, it's still going to hit you. But it's just really fun to do. And now I should probably move on to Cerberus, which sadly, Devil May Cry 3 is known for being one of the most stylish hack and slashes of all time. It's considered probably like the peak of its genre. Like, combo players just absolutely adore this game. Like, there's so much creativity involved. Like, you know, like the game systems just encourage you to really like just go balls out and create like some of the most insane gameplay ever, and it actually takes skill to do. It's not like doing it for you. It is a very involved game, and no damaging the boss fights on Dante Must Die has made me come to the realization I am not a style player. I am not good with doing combos, so I have to say I'm doing Cerberus really, really dirty here. I'm basically like doing a little cheat here. If you stay in this corner and shoot him, he'll just never hit you, except if he does 2 attacks, that's one of them. That attack, you know, if you stay on the ground for too long, freezes you. And the attack where he, like, summons pillars from the sky to hit you, that can also hit you. And what I noticed, I actually only noticed this playing this game right now for Dante Must Die, is that each dog has different colored eyes, and depending on which dog head is in the front formation, you know, the middle formation, that decides which attacks it's going to do. I didn't know that. Oh my goodness. Like, it feels so obvious in retrospect, but I really should have known that. So you really want to destroy the head with the yellow eyes first, because that attack is one of the most annoying ones, especially if you just want to stay in a corner and shoot him all day. So that's just really important to know. So this boss fight, I mean, I respect what it represents. I like that it's like a very challenging fight. if you're playing this game for the first time, I feel like this might be the first roadblock you run into. But as an actual fight, I just don't like that, like, pretty much the best way to deal damage to him is just by doing, like, aerials. And whenever you're doing aerials, you know, you have, like, limited options for, like, blocking or, like, dodging, so on and so forth. Yeah, if you have Royal Guard, you can probably, like, block in midair if you want to. If you time it correctly, if you can, like, deal with the game's speed. And if you have Trickster, yeah, you can kind of dodge away, like, aerial dodge away, but the timing for that can be kind of a pain in the ass, especially when you're so focused on, like, dealing damage to the head. And that's another thing. If you want to do sick-ass aerials, you either can use Swordmaster to do, like, certain aerial-specific attacks with, like, certain weapons, or you're going to have to, like, take advantage of jump canceling. This game is going to have a lot of tech, and believe me, I'm not going to mention all of it because I didn't use all of it. But it does have jump canceling. Fighting games also have this tech, and it's sort of like where you can, like, jump on an enemy. If you're, like, in the enemy's, like, hitbox or something, and you press the jump button, you can do another jump. You can't exactly spam it, because once you start spamming it, you just kind of start going all over the place. It has to be somewhat deliberate. And the best way to defeat Cerberus is to pretty much, like, get on top of his heads and just do that aerial, like, sword move. Not a move with Swordmaster. The fire swords, like Agni and Rudra. Agni and Rudra. I think I say their name correctly later on in this video, as in, like, in the next, like, 3 minutes. So using that weapon, you only do, like, the normal attack, the normal air attack. You don't do a Swordmaster attack. That one actually doesn't deal that much damage. The normal aerial actually deals, like, an insane amount of damage. And yeah, once you do it, you immediately flop down to the ground. But you can reset that by jump canceling on the dog's heads. And I kind of do it. But if you're doing it really, really well, you can basically eliminate 2/3 of that guy's health bar, especially if you're using Quicksilver. And I said 6 styles. I only mentioned 4. So let me mention the other 2. Quicksilver is a style that you unlock after defeating a blue horsey later on in this video, and it allows you to stop time. It's really sick. And something which I don't really take advantage of, but it does exist, is that when you activate the style, like when you do that, you actually have a set of iframes, so you can use the style's activation to avoid damage. So, you know, if you want to do something really cool, that is something you can do. I never did it, but it is something you should keep in mind. Jester. I don't like this fight. This fight is so annoying and gimmicky. Basically, it's like you either deal with the orbs or you just get screwed. And if you don't deal with the orbs, then, you know, you stop having fun. You fight this guy 3 times throughout the game, and it should be mentioned that this guy is exclusive to the special edition of this game. The special edition of Devil May Cry 3 is not exclusive to the Switch or the HD collections. The special edition did come out on the original PS2. On the original PS2, Devil May Cry 3 came out, awesome game. And then another version of Devil May Cry 3 came out, which you had to pay full price for, I believe. I mean, I never owned the PS2. As a child, I only owned the Nintendo Wii. But once the special edition came out, you had to, like, buy the game again, and it came with special features. You could play as Vergil. You could do a campaign with Vergil, and you have these Jester fights that show up across the map randomly. So, like, in Mission 5, there'll just be, like, a big glowing portal, and you go and fight him. This fight is actually mandatory. You can't continue, like, the game in the special edition without fighting this guy. But the next 2 times that he shows up, you can actually just avoid those portals and, just refuse to fight him and just continue on with the game normally. But this first fight, it is forced on you, it is mandatory, and yeah, I mean, I had to include it in this video. Skipping these fights would have been, like, a little silly. And they're not the hardest to deal with. I mean, as I kept fighting him over and over and over, I actually became more used to his playstyle. And you'll see it, like, in the final time I fight Jester, just how much more used I am. How much more used I am to fighting him. But he's still, like, a pain in the ass. Like, there's certain phases of his fight that still feel like I'm playing fucking slots at a casino. Like, it's just RNG. My least favorite phase is the one where, like, so he has, like, different orbs, right? He has one big orb, and that's the one where, like, you do Royal Guards, just boom, 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 boom. Like, I mean, the orbs come out really fast, but it is consistent, and it is a lot of orbs. So if I use the Royal Guard to kind of build up my Royal Guard meter, then that's just, like, a chance to pretty much build up a very strong, like, a Royal Release for later in the fight. When he summons 3 orbs, I didn't really know how to deal with that. The first time I fought him there, I was just kind of getting lucky, but later on, you can actually just run straight up to the Jester. I mean, you could do it in the first fight, but I didn't do it myself. You could just run straight up to the Jester, kind of like Royal Guard, like some of the orbs by, like, dodging and doing Royal Guard. That's another fun tech thing about Royal Guard. There's a lot of tech in this game. Oh my lordy lord. You know, I should probably talk about the fight that's happening right now, because Bluey here is about to die. And it does involve a lot of things I was already talking about to kind of, like, sum up the Jester. When he summons, like, the 2, like, orb circles, I hate that phase because, like, I mean, in the first fight, all I did was kind of, like, jump and shoot my guns. That's not consistent. I come up with a slightly more consistent strategy, like, in the next couple fights. Still not that consistent, and it never feels like I, like, learned how to deal with that. I always felt like I just lucked out every time I don't get hit by orbs in that phase of the fight. It's terrible. But yeah, royal guarding, the beginning of this fight with like the two dudes, basically, I take advantage of the iframes I have when I like kind of like dodge to the side or jump up in the air, where instead of like having to just perfectly time your perfect guards, you can kind of like cheat it a little bit by taking advantage of the iframes, where if you jump and you have like iframes like available and you press the royal guard button, I mean, when you have iframes, you're completely safe. So when you try that royal guard, I mean, you're just taking advantage of the fact that you were safe during that period of iframes, so you can like land perfect parries a lot easier with being less at risk. So, you know, I would jump up when these guys do their aerial attack and then do like a royal guard to kind of like get that perfect guard, and then like once they hit the ground, most of the time one of them will do like a little sword attack. I also perfect guard that, and then boom, I have like some ammunition to like royal release on one of them in order to defeat them. The best way to no damage these guys is to like defeat both of them in that previous phase, like at the exact same time, so you don't have to enter this phase, because in this phase the boss fight has more health, and if it's the blue one, he's really tricky to deal with. But in my constant like hours of trying to no damage this guy, I found out that actually fighting the red guy here is not that hard. It takes a while, it will take away like a lot of your time, but his moveset's pretty easy to deal with. Like, I mean, I kind of have this thing where I just kind of like run up on him, and I just start doing sword slashes, and whenever he tries to like hit me once, I do a big jump. He has like these two attacks, which I kind of have to dodge away from. Okay, like the only time this fight gets kind of tricky is whenever he does like a dash attack. You have to watch out for that. But whenever he's like doing that, just boom, like, you know, 1, 2, jump, hit. 1, 2, jump, hit. It's a very nice rhythm, and you know, I haven't seen anyone else do it. I mean, it's not like nobody else hasn't done it. I mean, this game has been around since what, 2004, 2005, 2006. I'm not 100% sure what year it came out. I mean, Devil May Cry 1 was like one of the first hack and slashes on the PS2. Not the first one per se, but it is one of the like most defining action games of all time, and it's awesome. I made a video no damaging all the boss fights in Devil May Cry 1. I would actually like to recommend you watch that as well, kind of as a companion piece to this video. I really wanted to continue no damaging the Devil May Cry games, but every single one of these games I feel is going to be a big commitment. I mean, Devil May Cry 1 was already kind of a commitment, and I think every game after Devil May Cry 1 is going to be even more of a commitment. This game was a big commitment for me. But I should probably get into the history of, like, you know, my history with these games. Actually, before I do that, I'd like to continue talking about this fight. I really like this fight. It's a really sick-ass fight. It's tough, it's challenging, but not, like, unfair. When you're fighting the two guys at the exact same time, their movesets are a little bit more limited. You know, like, they have simple moves, they're a little bit slow to come out, but since you're fighting two guys at the exact same time, it adds challenge. You know, like, the way they complement each other, you know, fire, ice, the way they kind of, like, back each other up when one's in a corner. Like, it's a very tough fight. It did take me 4 days to no damage, which, you know, I mean, was kind of painful, but it's a really good fight. I really like it. You know, like Hell Vanguard, that's the basic enemy, pretty easy. Cerberus, I like the idea of him, I don't really like him much. Jester, sucks, I don't fucking like him. But Agni Rudra, I really like him. And Vergil here, really like this fight. Honestly, Vergil was kind of a breath of fresh air, because this guy, instead of taking me 4 days, took me like 2 hours to no damage. So this is the only time I can say that a Vergil fight only took me like less than a day to no damage. That will not be true of the next Vergil fights. Oh my goodness, no. There is something I'm doing that's very specific to this Vergil fight. Basically, I'm using Trickster to dodge away from him, but instead of dodging straight, like, you know, forward or straight back, I'm dodging in a diagonal format, because I swear every time I like just dodge like in a straight backwards like lane away from him, one of his attacks just kind of ends up catching me in like a crossfire sort of way. And whenever I dodge forward into him, instead of like doing a big dodge away from him, I end up doing the teleport dodge. So yeah, every style in this game has 3 levels, and you want to max out their levels to get all their benefits. And one of the benefits which Trickster gets is that once it's fully like maxed out, if you like lock onto an enemy and dodge forward into them, you teleport. So you teleport closer to the enemy, or if you're right on top of the enemy, you just kind of like disappear for like a half second and then like come back. There is like cool things to do with it, and I do some cool things with it accidentally. But yeah, no, it's really annoying if you just want to do a normal dodge. This is something which I run into more with like the second Vergil fight. I'll explain it when we get there, but here I am deliberately dodging in a diagonal format because it's just the best way to dodge an attack after I do like the little sword clash, like the little combo I'm doing. I say combo, but I'm not really doing a combo, I'm just doing a basic attack string. I think it's important to, like, you know, mention the differences between an attack string and a combo, because a combo is like someone like juggling an enemy for like a minute or two like onwards. You can't really juggle most of the boss fights in this game, but normal enemies you can. But even with boss fights, you can do a ton of cool stuff with them, which I am not doing because some of those like players are just absolutely like cracked and insane. Oh my goodness. I'm realizing that in my previous like boss summary wrap up about which ones I like and I don't like. Oh yeah, I'm about to do something really cool here, and I did it in the first boss fight of this game. The Devil Trigger Explosion. I actually only learned about this when I reached Dante Must Die. I learned about the Devil Trigger Explosion. Basically, if you hold down the Devil Trigger button, instead of automatically going into Devil Trigger mode, you'll see that your orbs start to glow red. And if you unlock enough orbs, if you fill up your orbs to a really, really high degree, once you let go of that button, you do a big explosion which deals damage to all of your surrounding enemies. I didn't know it was a thing because honestly, I was expecting the effect to be a lot more like obvious. Where like I was holding down the button and I thought like the gauge was gonna start like flashing like lights at me, but no, it's only like a little like slightly subtle red thing compared to some other like heat gauges I've seen before. I don't know, kind of like a precursor to what will become the Yakuza heat system. And okay, here for the Leviathan fight, I really like this fight, but yeah, in my previous boss fight summary wrap-up, I forgot to mention the Gigapede. And it's because the Gigapede doesn't really leave a strong impression, especially the way I fight it. It's kind of an annoying fight, but if you kind of like cheese it the way I did, it becomes kind of like rolling the slots, basically. So I just kind of get on the Gigapede, and then like, I slow down time and I just start hitting the Gigapede, but while I'm hitting the Gigapede, I'm also reflecting all the orbs it shoots back at you. There is safer ways to play that fight, but if you play that fight in a safer way, it's going to take like so much longer. Now this fight, this is just the way I would always fight this fight, but I had to kind of like modify certain things because every time I fought this fight before, I would take damage. But now I actually have to like not take damage, and also I decided to Royal Guard the lasers. Never did that before. And the other times, instead of like fighting the organ, like the Devil Trigger organ, I would actually fight the health organ. And it was just because it felt like better to do. Like I think like just the jump canceling hitbox might be better on like the lung, which has like the red health crystals or whatever. But if you hit the red health crystals, then like the Leviathan here just steals your Devil Trigger away from you. And the Devil Trigger is really great for slowing down time, so it's like, no, I'm not going to do that. So what I'm doing here is that when I use Swordmaster, I'll pretty much do like a normal aerial attack, then I'll do a Swordmaster attack, and you have to keep spamming those buttons over and over to not fall to the ground. You don't want to do like your full like Swordmaster combo with the dual swords here, and you don't want to do just the normal combo. You want to do both of them like back to back to back, and you don't want to let either one of them like completely finish, because if your normal slash attack finishes, you flop to the ground. If you do your entire Swordmaster combo, your final hit is you doing like a little Sonic Cyclone and just slamming down on the ground. You don't want to do that either. So I was kind of doing like a little mix of just spamming the normal attack, spamming the Swordmaster attack, and then like jump canceling kind of. Like I missed a lot of jump cancels, but you could jump cancel off the group of enemies that's just crowding around you. And the reason you want to be in the air for so long is because there is a group of enemies surrounding you, and they can hit you. And it's like, man, they hit really hard, man. So Nevan here is a deceptively difficult fight, but once you know a couple things, it becomes so much easier. Honestly, this is one of the fights I was dreading the most, because during my normal playthroughs, I struggled with this person a lot. Well, it's not really a person, it's more like a vampire. I don't exactly know what kind of demon she is. Like, I mean, she's a vampire, she got bats, she can turn into a guitar, she got lightning powers. I've never seen Dracula shoot a bolt of lightning. I mean, I feel like Frankenstein, that was more his thing. He was like brought to life by lightning. I don't know if he shoots lightning. But the reason why I struggle with this fight so much is because the attacks where she kind of like shoots her bats at you, like she did it before, I always tried to dodge that attack like on the ground, and what I didn't realize is that the best way to dodge that attack, and one that is really, really consistent, is just jumping. Just jump over it. Like anytime she goes, oh, you must like this, and she just kind of shoots her bats at you, and their bats kind of have like a white glow around them, just jump over them. Like, that's all you have to do. And also for getting rid of her bat, once again, the normal aerial attack of the fire weapons here is the best like man for the job. And almost every weapon in this game has a double jump. So there is jump canceling, but there is also double jumps. So sometimes you might think you like jump cancel, but then once you see that big glowing like symbol like below you when you do an air hike, yeah, no, that was a double jump. So even double jumping by itself is really, really useful without jump canceling, though jump canceling just takes it to the next level. So getting rid of most of the bats around like Nevan here, just kind of boop, boop, and you'll get rid of most of them. And when you do that attack, it also gives you a ton of heat. Like, yeah, you could attack the bats any way you see fit. You could use other weapons, so on and so forth. In fact, there's one way to actually loop her and kind of like kill her in under a minute or 1 minute. And it involves like, the Beowulf, like gauntlets, rawr. I did like a part of it at the very beginning, but honestly, I have a very hard time keeping rhythm to kind of like, play that out for the entire fight. I love this frame. That's a great frame right there. So I didn't do it. I played her in a more normal way. But once I was playing her in a more normal way, yeah, she's not too hard. The fight kind of drags near the end. And, you know, that might be more my fault than the game, if anything. You do a couple jumps there. Whenever she shoots her bats at you, you jump over them instead of, like, dodging on the ground. And then everything else here is pretty self-explanatory. Once she starts, like, shooting lightning at you, you can kind of, like, use tricks to kind of dodge around it. Or you can just run away from the lightning, really. And yeah, just kind of, you have to get rid of all her bats to deal damage with her. And honestly, I'd probably find this fight more annoying if I didn't have the ability to slow down time. I have to mention this. The original Devil May Cry 3 was not balanced for you to be able to switch between every single style on the fly and have every weapon available to you on the fly. That's not what the original game was like. The original game only allows you to have one style, like, you know, at any time. You could switch styles when you want to in the menu, like, you know, before a mission or in the middle of a mission, if you, like, get in contact with one of the golden lion statues. It has a specific name, but I forgot it. And the game is balanced around it, you know, like, the game is balanced around you only having the ability to dodge with a special button, or only have the ability to, you know, perfect guard with a special button, or use, like, extra sword moves or extra gun moves. And, you know, if you want to slow down time, you would have to be like, you know, you'd be forced to only have the ability to slow down time, and the game is balanced around it. So when you can switch around at any point whatsoever, you make the game a lot easier. And with this increased, you know, easiness, I still struggled so hard with this game. Oh my goodness, it still took me forever to no damage. This is like one of the most demanding no damages I've done in my life. Maybe not the most demanding, but one of. Definitely like maybe top three. Devil May Cry 3, top 3 of anything, really. So yeah, I hope I don't run into any scary gameplay tech. Let me talk about my history with the series. So, I first played Devil May Cry 3 on the Xbox 360 HD collection, and I got stuck on Mission 4, so I actually went back to the first Devil May Cry, I beat that, and then I returned to 3, and I had a great time. I beat it on normal, then I beat it on hard, and I remember trying to beat Dante Must Die, like the first or second mission, and it was so hard that I gave up. I didn't know what to do. So yeah, flash forward to now, and I have spent over 245 hours on the Switch version of Devil May Cry 3. 60 or so of those hours are beating the game on normal, hard, and very hard, because in order to unlock Dante Must Die, you have to beat the game on normal and then hard. And the very hard playthrough, I only did it in order to gain more money to upgrade myself. And also, I feel like it wasn't just upgrading the game character. Having more hours in the game and just playing like a slightly harder version of the game, which wasn't Dante Must Die, was also prepping me to like get used to playing Dante Must Die in general, because jumping from hard to Dante Must Die is like way too steep of a jump. Like, you kind of have to go through very hard just to kind of continue getting used to the game, because like every playthrough like changes enemies to a point where it's like you're learning the game all over again. If you think you're good at Devil May Cry 3 on normal, you play hard and you get your ass kicked again. This fight actually has some pretty specific setup, which I wanted to do. In the beginning, I kind of like run up, I combo him, I do like the normal dodge, not the trickster dodge, just kind of do whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. You know, like I know the timings. The one thing is that the stomp he does can come out pretty quick, so it was kind of annoying to react, but with enough practice you can react to like his attacks. This guy, I really like this boss fight. He is maybe one of the easier boss fights because his attacks all have really big windup. He's such a big guy that whatever windup he does also just comes out really obviously. I did not have an easy time with him, but like relatively, he is one of the easier fights, you know, and that's probably what makes him so fun. You know, he's not like an asshole. He's like actually cool to deal with. Like the one thing about this fight that like really like just kind of screws me over is that on the Dante Must Die like version of this fight specifically, like he just starts dropping a bunch of random bullshit in his final phase. Like, you know, before you have to like stomp to like summon them down, but then like before he starts stomping so much, like every stomp just like starts counting towards like dropping these things down to the ground. And I ran into this really annoying glitch. I showed it in like my no damage fail video, where sometimes like his AI will get a little bit confused during this specific phase, and instead of like, you know, dropping every single pillar to this exact number, he'll just like stop reacting to the pillars like halfway through, which is really bad for me because I take this time while he's dropping the pillars to deal extra damage in a safe manner with the Swordmaster move, where I throw the weapon like at him. When you're throwing the weapon at him, you also have to like press the Swordmaster button again to recall the weapon back to you, because I did run into a couple situations where I didn't do that, and you know, when it came time to throw the weapon again, I didn't have the weapon on me because I didn't call it back. I didn't, you know, use my Omnitrix to like, you know, bring my alien weapon back at me. It's not an alien weapon, it's a demon weapon. So to kind of wrap up how I approached this fight, so in the beginning, kind of standard, you know, did a bunch of sword combos, but I did charge up my double trigger explosion, and I did it at some point to deal a lot more damage. And then once we enter the next phase, he's going to pretty much run over, and then you kind of like do the sword master move to kind of like destroy the barrels. And once we're done with that and he kind of charges out, you like to switch to trickster and kind of jump up in the air and do a dodge there whenever he does like a big jump at you, because that big jump can really catch you like out of nowhere. He does like telegraph it pretty well, but still you can get caught off even by good telegraphs. So it's very nice to have good telegraphs and not bad telegraphs. So yeah, here's the second time fighting Jester. He has a bigger health bar. It's the same fight except like later on in the fight he gets a ball and the fight becomes worse. Oh my god, I hate the stupid ball he gets. Like just because yeah, what if we make this fight that was already not that fun into even less fun? But yeah, by this time I am getting more used to it. Like that, honestly, if he only did like that one attack, which is like one portal, like I'd like that a lot because it would give me multiple chances to just pretty much do Royal Guard release on him in a really nice way. You could like, you know, do Royal Guard perfect guards in the other phases, but it's just not as convincing. This is like my least favorite phase, and here's like the new strategy which I adapted from a video I saw. Boom, bam, pow. Except in the video I saw, instead of doing like the Swordmaster B attack, they actually would switch between strumming the guitar and shooting the gun once. And the timing for that is so confusing to me that I just didn't do it. Even doing that strategy to stay in the air was like just kind of a fucking crapshoot. Like I'm just rolling the dice every single time I decide to jump up in the air. Something I like to do to make it slightly more consistent is kind of delay when I jump up in the air, because if you jump up in the air like right away, then you know you're going to be dealing most of the phase. But if you kind of wait it out for like a couple more seconds, it means that the phase will end earlier before you go lower down on the ground, if that makes any sense. Oh yeah, also I'm doing the rocket launcher there because during that phase where I shoot him with the rocket launcher, if you hit him with any other attack, he just kind of teleports away. And shooting him with the rocket launcher actually like pretty much like exposes him and puts him to like a weak point. If you just hit him normally with your sword, he just goes to the orb phase again. And there, I thought it was going to be like triple orbs or one orb, and nope, it was 2 orbs. So this is like a very panicky moment. I did not... This no damage shouldn't have happened. I was not prepared for the ending of this fight. Like I got so lucky. Like I actually like reacted like well to this very peculiar circumstance. I also didn't finish elaborating on what I did against Beowulf, so after doing the whole trickster thing, then he's going to do some attacks where every time he does like a big stomp with his fist, that doesn't make any sense. Whenever he hits the ground with his fist, he does an explosion, and since I'm playing the Switch version of the game, I just kind of switched to the slow motion like version of my styles, Quicksilver, and I slow down time every time he's about to hit me. So I play it very easy, but to play it very easy, you have to manage your double trigger gauge very, very well. Taunting is the name of the game. I've done it a couple times through this video. I thought it'd be self-explanatory enough, but yeah, I do taunt to get more double trigger orbs. If you can find an opening in the enemy's like patterns or like timing to do taunts, because you know the amount of double trigger you get is the amount of times you get to slow down time or enter double trigger mode or do a double trigger explosion or do Doppelganger. Hey, I did say there were 6 styles and I haven't mentioned the final one, Doppelganger. It's the worst one.
Geryon.
Like, I mean, it's cool, and I'm sure there's a lot of sick combos you can do with it, but in terms of, like, my use, Quicksilver's just better at doing what Doppelganger does. The only thing which isn't better, which it's worse at, is just not being as cool. One thing I did here, or I'm not sure if this is true, but I think if you plug in a second controller, the second player can actually control, like, Dante's Doppelganger once you summon him, which, that sounds sick as hell. I did not try it out. There's another like second controller thing which pops up later in the game, which I'll mention when we get there. It won't take long. So I didn't test that out either, but from what I heard, that does sound sick as hell. So for this horsey here, for this first phase, you could like go out of your way to deal more damage, but this part is also pretty scripted. So if you just kind of stand here and just shoot at him until you get to the next part of the fight, the next part of the fight actually commences pretty soon, like basically in like a little over a minute. The next phase of the fight starts. I don't really like that the fight starts out like this, because like one thing which I really like about Devil May Cry's fights is that they're all like, you know, very in the moment. They don't have like a modern game thing where like they're constantly getting interrupted by cutscenes. You know, like a fight is a fight, and like most of the design is centered on the gameplay. That's like one of the best things about it. And I do say modern games, but I'm sure there's some older games which also have this issue of like just having like huge cutscenes interrupting gameplay because like the gameplay systems of that particular game were not interesting enough to like sustain a boss fight on their own. Like, you know, like they use cutscenes as like an excuse to like show something cool instead of like having gameplay systems and boss fight design that's cool enough on its own to pretty much like stand on its own. You know what I mean? Devil May Cry does not have this issue. And for this horsey here, this horsey can be pretty annoying. I had a separate strategy when I fought him like on normal, hard, and very hard. But playing him on Dante Must Die, I realized that this horsey acts the way which the horsey acts on normal, hard, and very hard at the very end of that fight on Dante Must Die, that horsey acts that way the whole fight, which just complicates things a lot. So I'm using this kind of like speedrun tech by a certain YouTuber, which I've kind of been delaying mentioning because I keep getting like sidetracked by other things. So now I want to mention very important YouTubers which helped me make this video. But the speedrun strategy here is basically like you have to do this kind of like backward swordmaster attack. If you don't know about this ahead of time, it can be kind of confusing to follow because you also have an uppercut attack with like your normal like attack button, but you have a separate uppercut attack with the Swordmaster one, and the Swordmaster one is the one that can do really sick stuff. I did it against Nevan, and yeah, for the horsey, that's pretty much how you just kind of like loop him, and it's really, really great. Oh, before I mention that YouTuber, we're doing second Vergil fight, and this fight took me like 4 days. It felt like so arduous, like it just took me so long. I was constantly fighting him over and over and over and over. It felt impossible. Once I beat it, I was like, wow, that's great. I'm really dreading the final Vergil fight, and I was right to dread it. We'll get there when we get there. But I guess my strategy here is pretty self-explanatory. Dodge attack, boom, going for a combo. Most of his attacks are well, a lot of his attacks allow you to do a full combo, but there's certain attacks which don't allow you to do a full combo. Once he brings out the big old sword from his first phase, whenever he does like a big dash attack, which like has a bunch of like I don't know what to call them, like slashes like behind him, you attack him once, and then like the second time you attack him is pretty much the one where he tries like he pretty much like blocks your attack. Whenever he enters Devil Trigger mode, it's so annoying to fight against him. You could use the slowdown mode to like, you know, have a better chance against him, but I decided I'm just going to like go in real time. Because instead of using Quicksilver, I'm instead using Devil Trigger Explosion to deal more damage. Using Quicksilver is probably like the easier, and no, I wouldn't say easier, nothing in this fight is easy. Well, aside from the Beowulf moveset, which honestly, its attacks can be challenging, but like they're decent enough. Like there's like certain attacks which Vergil gets later on, and by the way, that is a weird ass glitch. I don't know why it does that. When I was editing this video in Premiere, like I don't have a text there. Like I don't have a text box there. But when I export the video, like just for like a split frame, it says Vergil, and like it cuts out the screen. I don't know why it does that. Like, I didn't put it there in post. I, like, exported this video, like, 3 or 4 separate times using different methods. I put, like, a blank text box there to see if it would, like, count it out. You know, like, kind of, like, counteract it. It did not. And there's no other glitch like that in this video. This is the only time the video glitches out like that. And it drives me nuts. It's like a split frame, and I don't know why it does that. Premiere, what the fuck, dude? This is not the worst issue I've had with Premiere, but, like, holy shit. Also, for this, like, whenever he summons, like, the swords, the blue swords, there's a really great strategy, which I will do in the third fight I have with Vergil, so you'll see what that strategy is, but I tried doing it in this phase, and I had the toughest time with it. I guess I'll elaborate on that once I get to the final fight. Anyways, I mean, there's so much happening in this fight. I really hope that some of it is really self-explanatory because, like, holy moly, I don't even know how to describe some of the things here. When he enters this phase, if you slow down time, you can do, like, a much bigger combo on him, but since I didn't really have the orbs to slow down time, I just kind of, like, stuck with one, like, stinger attack because he kind of has super armor when he activates, like, that final phase when the camera switches and becomes all cinematic. So yeah, since I'm not doing the guitar tech to get rid of his swords, I'm just trying to be very careful and not making the swords hit, because Vergil likes teleporting around, and when he starts teleporting around with the swords, it's probably best to kind of like jump up in the air and dodge with Trickster. You can't just like dodge on the ground, because like the amount of radius which like the summoned swords have around them creates so much space that doing like a single dodge isn't going to be enough when he teleports, and his teleportation can also be like unpredictable. He starts going like whoosh, 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 whoosh. You have to be really, really on the ball here. Yeah, like this fight is just like the perfect level of challenge, because I think like the final one he has might be a little too much challenge. Oh my goodness. Oh! One of the worst combinations of summoned swords in Vergil which can happen is like the summoned sword attacks, like once he like uses them to attack you, they all have like different patterns. Like the one above you, that one's not so bad. The one where they surround you, that one's not so bad. The one that's kind of bad is the one where they just kind of like shoot straight at you, like where Vergil just points them all in the same direction on his body, because it's a nasty trick he can do. So yeah, whenever he like makes the swords like, you know, shoot at you in a straight pattern, don't do like trickster dodges. That's not the way to deal with them, because you only have 3 trickster dodges and there's like 5 swords. And I sort of like when you do one trickster dodge, you don't have like a straight momentum. There's kind of like a stop and start. And when you do like, and when you're in the stop motion of like, you know, your momentum, the sword gets you. So it's actually better to just like run in a straight line away from the swords. But a nasty trick that Vergil can pull is that he can teleport while the swords are shooting at the exact same time. So then he'll teleport to a different position, you know, like counter to where you were running, and the swords might get you the next time he teleports, because, you know, you'll have to like run in a separate direction. You won't be 100% sure what separate direction you have to like run to. So it's like, oh man, great fight, fucking hard as shit, dude. Oh! So the fight's always going to start out with her doing that. So jump, shoot your guns, and then she's going to be behind you. Jump, shoot your guns, because whenever she does the spinning attack, you want to be jumping and shooting your gun. That's how you defend the gun. And once you're on the ground, you want to shoot your gun, and she's going to shoot your gun back at you, and you pretty much just kind of like trade bullets. But you want to trade bullets in such a way where you don't get clipped by them, because if you don't shoot fast enough, or if you're at a weird angle, one of her bullets might clip you, and that's going to ruin your whole no damage. Then once she summons the rocket launcher, you want to jump, and then do this combo, then you want to jump away, shoot the gun to deal with her spinning, like, you know, gun thing to kind of deflect her bullets, and then when you're on the ground, deflect her bullets, and then you kind of repeat this until you, like, do it a certain amount of times, where then you slow down time. You repeat this combo in order to skip her middle phase, because her middle phase is terrible. She just starts, like, jumping on top of these, like, structures here, and, like, you know, throwing grenades, and it's so tedious. It's not impossible to deal with it, but if you can skip it, yes, do it. Because you just kind of want to keep her in this exact same phase of just kind of shooting your gun, and then she summons the rocket launcher, and then you do this over and over again. And if you don't do this fight becomes infinitely more painful, and she can do so many, like, weird little things to fuck with you. If you, like, do, like, your sword attacks, like she'll jump back and, like, you know, shoot a gun at you, or, like, just kind of, like, do a little flip kick. Like, just, she's a very weird, gimmicky fight, but if you can, like, counter her like this, and here we have the Jester. And yeah, no, this is the worst one out of all of them. He has the most health, and he summons the ball a lot sooner than the previous ones, which means you have to deal with the ball shenanigans a lot more, and it just sucks, and I hate it, and it fucking, I don't like it. But by now, I'm actually brave enough to go at him when he summons, like, the 3 portals. And then, boom, the way I like to deal with this is that you'll see, like, a blue orb, like, come out, like, very close to you. Try to dodge into that, and sometimes if it's, like, coming down on you, do a jump, try to, like, you know, Royal Guard that. So the rolling Royal Guard iframes are a lot easier to deal with than the jump ones, in my experience, because the jump one, there will come a point in your jump where you don't have iframes, so it can be kind of tough to deal with. Like, you'll be in a jump position for, like, 3 to 4 seconds, while if you do a dodge roll, you'll be in a rolling position for, like, 1 to 2 seconds. So I just find it easier to deal with the Royal Guards that way. But yeah, no, that's a way to deal extra damage to him while he's doing one of his big orb formations, and boom. By now, this timing's, like, elementary to me. But one thing which could make this one easier is, instead of just standing still like I do, you could dodge roll into the orbs, but I had trouble with that. One thing which could really fuck me over when I was doing the Jester fights is that whenever he would summon too many health orbs, like, it happened to me during that one, like, formation, one health orb came out, and it kind of fucks with me because, like, you know, you don't hear that familiar ding time. Like, I love that sound where you do, like, a perfect guard, just ding. And if you don't hear it once, it kind of fucks me up. One time I was doing this fight trying to no damage it. It happened to me twice, and it just fucked up my whole rhythm. Like, you know, I didn't know what to do. So I pretty much just, like, fucked up the timing afterwards, and I got clipped. One thing about Royal Guarding is that it does have to be a perfect guard. If you just block normally, you take reduced damage, but you still take damage. So you have to learn the timings for these things. Iframe dodging and jumping can help with mitigating some of the timing. Yeah, this phase just fucking sucks. I hate it so much. So yeah, here I'm trying to delay things. You know, instead of doing the guitar immediately, I did it after doing, like, you know, the previous 2 jumps. I kind of wasted a little bit of time, but still, this is so RNG. Like, I mean, you, like, 5 times out of 10, you're gonna get clipped doing this. But thankfully, I just did not get clipped that one time, allowing me to make this video. Oh my goodness. I should probably talk about some of the stuff in my notes. Man, this game is so fast-paced and filled with so much stuff. This is one of the most demanding no damages I've ever had to do. Like, most of the boss fights in this game, there was never a time like, wow, I can take it easy. No, it was always a challenge. It always took me multiple days to do most of the fights, and I always felt, like, drained. Like, that's how designed most of these, like, boss fights are. Yeah, the boss fights have design. Who would have thunk? But it's really demanding stuff. So in summary, this is a great game. Like, this is one of the best hack and slashes of all time. Like, just so many, like, great levels and enemies and boss fights. And just, like, the combat system is, like, adaptable enough that you can, like, play it, like, multiple different ways. And they all require skill. There's, like, no easy way out. It's all, like, very involved, and once you, like, get good at it, it's one of the most satisfying gaming experiences you can have to this day. Just such a great action-packed game. I think probably one of my favorite things is, like, the music track that plays in the first level of the game, because I have not played Devil May Cry 2. Like, Devil May Cry 2, yeah, that's how you say it. But it is considered the black sheep of the series for being a really bad game. Like, people say that the combat just gets really slow and gimmicky, like, the rooms just aren't tight and, like, you know, like, strategy focused anymore. You could defeat most of the game by just spamming the guns at enemies, and hey, I like spamming guns, but the boss fight shouldn't be designed to just take it so easily, right? Also, for this phase of the Jester of the Ball, I haven't really talked much about that. So once we get to this part with the ball, something I did in the beginning is that you can actually destroy the ball if you do a combo on it that reaches the S rank. And yeah, the combo system, that's really dope. That's really dope. It forces you to like use different movesets, and like the higher like, you know, skill ranking you have, the faster you do your weapon attacks with. And sometimes you actually unlock like unique variations of certain attacks. Like there's the one where like you like stab forward, but you do it like multiple times, like breakdown. You know, like that move on higher like style rankings changes like separately. And also the audio I use for Doppelganger there is from Twin Peaks. You should watch that series. It's a great show. There's nothing else like notable to mention about this fight. I'm gonna fucking Ganondorf him. Also, there was like 2 or 3 separate conversations which I did not like finish in like the previous 5 minutes of this video. Man, I'm like rushing through so many different thoughts. For one, in the final part of that final Jester fight, where the one we has like 3 portals open, you might see that I jump over certain balls that are going my way. I'm like, wow, on the edge of my seat, you're really good at this game. How did you know to jump at that exact point? I didn't. The jump was an accident, and I performed the accident twice at the exact perfect moment. I was actually just trying to dodge roll to like get iframes to perfect guard, but whenever I was in any danger of actually getting hit by one of the balls, Devil May Cry 3's dodge system saved my life, because instead of pointing in the direction where I wanted to do a dodge roll, I was like pointing the stick slightly wrong, and I guess like diagonally enough where instead of doing a dodge roll, I did a jump. But doing a jump was the exact right thing to do in those exact moments, and it saved my life. Thank you, Devil May Cry 3 dodge system, and I guess thank you to that fuck-ass arena for just being a circle. And another thing I have to follow up on is, why was I talking about Devil May Cry 2? It's because, like, you know, Devil May Cry 2 kind of feels like it was gonna kill the franchise, and then the third game comes out and it's like, you know, I mean, like, fuck, that previous game kind of sucked ass. I mean, how good can this third game really be? The first level starts out, boom, action, 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 and the cutscene looks fucking phenomenal, like, the cinematic direction is beautiful, and then, like, you hear the music in it, then you play the game, the music keeps playing, and it just feels great, the game is fast, the hits are heavy, the room is small, you know, like, it just, everything good about Devil May Cry has been not only come back, it's like an increased, like, tenfold. Like, Devil May Cry 1 is a great game. Some people get into the habit of disrespecting its legacy, alright? Hideki Kamiya, bro, goated ass developer. I need a no damage to Bayonetta games one of these days. I will be very bad at those games as well, and as I am with Devil May Cry 3 here, but like, yeah, no, that game is awesome. Devil May Cry 1 is awesome. There's very frustrating elements of it, but it is a really great game. Hell, there's frustrating elements of Devil May Cry 3, like this boss fight, which I'm not going to play. Fuck Arkham, dude! No! One thing I will say is that his music is amazing. Like, I was just hearing it while I was spamming the Holy Waters. I didn't know you could do that. I mean, I was kind of depending on the Holy Waters to basically kill this fight for me, but I was under the impression that, like, you know, even if I take 30 Holy Waters into, like, a boss fight with me on Dante Must Die, I'm pretty sure that it's only going to deal, like, at most a third of his health bar if I use 30 of them, but what I found out was that if you use 24 of them, it kills him completely. Like, I just use half of them and then boom, we're going to be watching a movie afterwards. But the music during this fight is phenomenal, and like, I think a lot of aspects of this fight are phenomenal aside from the fight itself. He's such a fucking annoying guy. Because he's like a big fuck-ass blob, it's kind of hard to like tell what telegraphs he's doing. And even the attacks he does are mostly like these fuck-ass projectiles that just hone in on you, and they're very annoying to dodge. And then he has the phase where he summons like the worms, and the worms are a pain in the ass to deal with. No, dude, hell no. But in terms of story, like, you know, presentation, music, all that is fantastic here. Well, when it comes to presentation, there is something I gotta mention, but I'm getting so wrapped up on anything else that's not on my outline that I have a hard time mentioning things which are on my outline. But before talking about the outline, yeah, 5th time saying that, I gotta complain about Arkham more. So this moment is super hyped. The brothers team up, and also I did kind of edit this cutscene down to be shorter, because if this boss fight was just going to be a gimmick of me cheesing it and just using a cheat item, I thought I might as well not waste your time as much, but I did have to show off the cutscene because the cutscene is the coolest part of this fight, and for it to not be in this video at all would do a massive disservice to this entire moment. But so yeah, Vergil comes back, the music changes to be a lot more heroic, it sounds beautiful, and it's like, dude, the brothers are teaming up, it's a great moment, but in terms of gameplay, it sucks! Oh, it's so terrible! Because, okay, if you're playing it casually, you know, you just take it for what it is. Dude, this moment's freaking hype, it's sick. But when you're playing the game, you're actually weaker in the second phase, because Vergil coming in is nowhere near as useful as you would think. Vergil coming in takes away your ability to use Devil Trigger and any of your style's abilities. So it's like, yeah, those are two of your best gameplay mechanics just gone for the second phase of the fight. Yeah, you get to control Vergil, kind of, but like, he doesn't do much. You can't use any tricks or dodges, you can't use any Royal Guards or Royal Releases, you can't use any Sword Master moves, Gun Master moves, you can't slow down time, you can't use the Doppelganger style, which to be fair, I was never in danger of using Doppelganger. I'm gonna shut up now.
I'll try it your way for once. Remember what we used to say? Jackpot. Not very classy for someone's dying words.
So try as I might, I'm going to mention something from the outline. So yeah, Double Trigger Explosion is one of the most useful skills in the game. I've already mentioned that, but something which I noticed that it's not that useful against the red blood creatures, but I think I'm misunderstanding something, because I would use the explosion against them, but the explosion just turns them to stone, and it doesn't like automatically kill them. Like, even before they enter their Devil Trigger state, hey, that's a fun concept, which doesn't really apply to the boss fights aside from every single boss fight on Dante Must Die difficulty having a lot more health. When you play on Dante Must Die, enemies, if you don't kill them fast enough, or if like you're fighting a group and you kill like 3 and you leave one of them alive, they enter like an activated state, which gives them more health and it takes longer to stagger them. And combo players really love this because a lot of combos like require doing moves which can send enemies flying across the map, but if it takes like more like dedication to stagger enemies, it means that you can deal more damage to them and use more moves before they go flying across the map, which you don't want to happen. You actually want them to, like, you know, tank a lot of the hits that you deal towards them to just do bigger combos. So this mode is basically like a blessing for people that want to do sick-ass combos, but it makes the game a lot harder just generally. And another thing I want to mention from the outline is secret missions. So there's these secret missions which give you blue orbs, and you're going to want to get all the blue orbs if you want your health bar to be fully upgraded. You need to do all the secret missions, plus you need to buy every single health upgrade. You need to do this in combination to get the 2 health bars I have in this video, which to be fair, I'm doing no damage, so it doesn't really matter. But when I'm playing the game normally against normal enemies, you know, it does matter, because, you know, I can take more damage, but you still die like in 4 to 5 hits on the hardest difficulty, and then boom, this fight, I love this fight. It's one of the greatest final boss fights of all time, and I knew that once I finished and had a no damage of it, it would be one of my greatest achievements. And I feel so proud that this is one of my favorite like hack and slash games, one of the best hack and slash games, and is one of the best like climactic encounters in the franchise, not in the franchise of any hack and slash game period. It's just like the arena is beautiful, like the story circumstances like set up so well, the music sounds phenomenal, and it is challenging as fuck. So it's a great fight. It's one of my all-time favorite fights, but it's kind of hard to stay positive when it took me over a week to do it. Oh! Fucking A, dude. This shit was so hard. Like, it felt hopeless, man. I'm so glad to be fucking done with it. It is one of the greatest boss fights, but it is so frustrating. Holy shit. To wrap up my secret mission babble, basically, I thought it was kind of hard to know whether you completed a secret mission or not, because, like, near the end of my very hard playthrough, I was trying to hunt them down, and it was kind of hard to know which ones I did and didn't do. But what I didn't know is that the game's, like, ending results screen after you beat the game actually tells you, and I just didn't know. Like, the weird gold stars that are kind of, like, at the bottom right of the screen, that's how it's communicated. There's, like, 12 secret missions, and if you have a gold star in one of the numbers, then you did that mission, and if you don't have it, then you still have to do that mission. I did not know that until I did all of them. Mind you, I didn't find the missions myself. I looked up a YouTube walkthrough. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm a fake gamer. So yeah, here's the guitar tech I was talking about before. It would be very good to do that in the first 2 Vergil fights, so if you want to no damage those first 2 Vergil fights, try to adapt doing that, but I just could not get a handle on it. And one of the most pain in the ass things about it is that in order to do the sick-ass guitar playing, you have to, like, you know, lock onto the enemy and hold left and then press the attack button, and, you know, you just end up in so many situations where you just end up, like, completely inverted on the directions. You have to, like, press down to do left, but if you do down too hard and, like, from a wrong angle, instead of doing the guitar shredding attack, you do, like, a hone-in attack where you kind of swing the weapon up and it's the complete wrong attack. And see, sometimes you do shit like that, and like that just fucked over so many runs for me. It's such a pain in the ass. It's like timing is everything. You have to be very quick on it. Positioning is also important, because if you're too close to him, you know, you get hit. If you do it too soon and you wait for them to spawn in, you get hit. And sometimes when you do it correctly, you just get hit because, you know, the positioning was slightly off. And man, this fight has so much going on, and I really want to describe all of it, but like it's like it's like fuck, dude. It was all kind of a blur to me. I don't know how to like, remember all of this. I'll say this much. For this phase in particular, once you understand it, it is easy, but you should have like some of this left so you can do this in the middle of the fight, because he'll either summon the swords at the beginning, you destroy them at the beginning, and if he doesn't summon them at the beginning, he'll summon them in the middle of the fight, and it's best to get rid of them, because if he has those swords available, it's not impossible to dodge, but it's very hard. So it's better if you just don't. But if you're not worrying about those like swords, you pretty much just kind of run around, and he'll always do the thing where he kind of like just does the teleporting, like, you know, slash down attack. But something which I was kind of confused about until like I learned about it from experience is that, you know, there was always points where like he would like, you know, do the stinger attack on me, and I thought that was random. No, it's not random. He'll always do the stinger attack if he does a combo. So after he does a combo, he'll teleport and then do the stinger attack. But if he doesn't do a combo before doing like the teleport jump, he's not going to do a stinger attack. It's just going to be a basic, you know, jumping down attack. And also, after he's done doing the whole, you know, teleport slash teleport slash teleport slash, shoot 3 rocket launchers at him and you'll be good. Yeah, the combo I'm doing here, instead of doing like the stinger attack, I actually found out that you deal more damage by just doing your basic, like, you know, like attack string, Y, Y. I mean, on PlayStation, it's like, you know, triangle, 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 triangle. Then after you do that second triangle, if you like entered with like a stinger attack, then he's going to pretty much like get bounced off and he'll be ready to counter you. But if you shoot a rocket launcher at him, it deals damage and it doesn't activate like his counter state. So yeah, so after that, do 3 rocket launchers. Yeah, you know, like stinger, 3, 3, 2, taunt, and then stinger to get more heat. But if you don't have, if you have enough heat, then you just do like 2 rocket launchers. Then you dodge to the right. Because in my experience, doing a normal dodge to the right is much better than doing it to the left, because whenever I did it to the left, I tended to get clipped, especially when he did like the little dash attack where like a bunch of like sword stuff comes out behind him. And also, yeah, there was another thing I want to mention. So like that dash attack, when he does the sword things behind him, you just kind of like stab him once with stinger, and then you do a rocket launcher, because you can't really do any like further attacks like strings beyond that. So most of his attacks, you kind of react like this. One annoying thing which Vergil does, and mind you, this is true about his first, second, and third fight, is when he kind of like takes his sword in and he starts like shooting like little like spear orbs at you. A lot of the time you have to like rush in with stinger and like attack him immediately, but not too immediately, because if you like attack him before he shoots out any orbs, you just don't get the full combo. You have to let him like, you know, shoot out at least 1 orb. And here I didn't have enough heat to activate this mode, so in order to get some heat back, I actually dodged some of his like, you know, like teleporting attacks to get enough heat in order to get rid of the sword, so I could do this little like attack here. So yeah, one annoying thing about whenever he does this specific attack is that if you like delay it by like 2 or 3 seconds and you like do a stinger into him and you actually like land an attack and you're hitting him, he has this habit of just summoning a death orb right on top of him and you just get hit. I hate it. So, you know, if you're not like 100% like, you know, precise with your timing, you get fucked. But yeah, no, dude, I'm so happy to be done with this fight, but I'm not done talking about this fight. There's so many other aspects to it which I really want to mention, because, you know, like, if you want to suffer through this fight with me as well, I want to let you know my experience, but like, I'm forgetting my experience like right now, because man, it was such a challenge. It was so hard. For one of the hardest things about this fight is that Vergil, you know, he has a new moveset. You know, in the first one, it's just his sword. The second one, he uses Beowulf moves. And in the third one, he has your same exact sword. So he starts using the same moves you do. And whenever a boss fight gets like the same animations that you have, they always end up being some of the hardest challenges in the game, because whenever you have like an attack animation that you can use, it's typically really fast, because fast attacks that come out like the second you press the button feel really satisfying to do. But then you fight a boss fight with those same exact moves, and they move so fast that it becomes some of the hardest challenges in the game, because, you know, now the boss fight is using the really useful, fast startup moves that you have, and it's like impossible to deal with. And one, like the stinger, whenever Vergil does the stinger, I never see it coming. It's so hard to like get used to the timing. Like whenever I like counter Vergil doing the stinger, it's sheer luck, because that shit comes out so fast. And speaking of speed, not sure if the original game had this, but the special edition definitely does, or maybe the HD collections do. Turbo mode. So the original speed of Devil May Cry actually was not that fast. Shout out to my Patreon members. I'll talk about this later. I'm gonna prep you right now, this video will have an addendum. Walkman, my strongest tier. Oscar29, thank you so much for subscribing to my Patreon. Not the Cintano Nishkino. If you want a better pronunciation, check out my previous Yakuza 0 No Damage. and Kyle W789. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, and I hope that with your support I'll be able to make better videos. And thank you so much for watching my video, which is not done yet because I'm going to talk about so much more. Yakuza 5, one of my favorite Yakuza games. Devil May Cry 3, one of my favorite games ever. Yakuza 5 is also one of my favorite games ever. And now I'm going to try to talk about something which is more specifically directed at Devil May Cry 3. And in order to continue and start this grand addendum, I will continue talking about the moves which Vergil has, which makes the final fight really frustrating. There's this move you can do with your sword where you just kind of like throw it out, like you kind of charge it and then you do like a little thing. And Vergil steals this move from you, and it's really annoying to deal with it because once he throws that sword out, if you don't dodge it like a specific way, like one way I like to dodge it just to kind of like jump and dodge through it, and if you do it correctly, the sword won't like come back for you. But if you don't do that, it just kind of hones in on you and it's just a pain in the ass to deal with. And I've had situations where I actually like dodged through the sword correctly and I land an attack on Vergil, but when the sword boomerangs back, it gets me like, you know, coming back. It's so annoying. So that's already annoying to deal with by itself, but you can kind of interrupt it when he's in his normal phase by just hitting him before he does it. But once he's in Devil Trigger, it's even worse because once he's in Devil Trigger mode, just fighting the Devil Trigger mode in general is really frustrating because he just doesn't react to anything. He basically super armors through everything. So when he's doing that whole attack, you can't stop it from happening without, you know, like killing him upright. But killing him upright takes a lot of time. So, you know, if you're not slowing down time and he goes into Devil Trigger mode and does the sword throw like attack, it's a deadly, nasty combination, which I don't like at all. And it just sucks so much that you can't interrupt that bullshit move. And I finally get to talk about the YouTubers which helped me make this video. So some important YouTubers to shout out is Devil May Cry 5 Gaming World for his speedrun no damages of the boss fights in Devil May Cry 3. They were such useful tech. I learned so many things that I didn't know about the game beforehand. I wasn't able to replicate his exact strategy because it actually required so much skill. Shout out to that guy. Marcus Mayo, I have to shout out for his no damage of the entirety of Devil May Cry 3. Every single mission, every single enemy, the mission's done in one take while getting SS rank, because this game ranks you on how well you defeat each mission from like C, B, A, S, and then double S. You need to get S in every single category to get double S, and that actually requires no damaging. You have to take 0 damage to get S, except there's a few weird like disqualifications, which actually are not disqualifications, because I recently learned that in the second phase of the Arkham fight, he can grab you sometimes, and you take damage from that, but the game's scoring system doesn't count that damage. So if you're trying to just do like an SS run and not exactly a full no damage run, you can actually take a little bit of damage in that specific boss fight and it won't count, and you'll still get the SS ranking, which, you know, oh, thank goodness. I mean, I'm never gonna do it. I mean, okay, never say never. I don't plan on doing it, but I'm just glad that that's how it works. I don't know if there's other instances in this game which work like that. I mean, I would have to assume the one mission where you're constantly losing your health and you have to kind of like rush back to get stuff. I'm sure that mission works in a similar fashion, but yeah, no, that's a fun little detail that I had to mention. Another YouTuber I gotta shout out is True Powder for just being goated. Absolutely goated. They are currently retired. They're going through their Dark Knight Rises like kind of arc right now, but yeah, no, goated player, Spider-Man, Sonic, Devil May Cry, Yakuza, Godspeed mode, yeah. And the final YouTuber which I want to shout out is Catbus for showing me the visual issues which the HD collection introduces to Devil May Cry 3. So these are things which I didn't exactly know myself because I was not the one to play the original PS2 version of Devil May Cry 3. I was also informed of the visual issues with Devil May Cry 1's HD collection, which Devil May Cry 1 is the bigger issue. Like, there's a lot more problems with its presentation when compared to the original PS2 version. How the HD collection just kind of fucks up a lot of the visual effects, the fogging, the blurring, the lighting, the models in general. It just looks a lot uglier on the HD collection, just a lot more flat, and it's such a shame for such a visually impressive game and for a game that's just as important as Devil May Cry 1 and Devil May Cry 2 to a lesser extent. You should watch my Devil May Cry 1 No Damage, I talk a little bit more about that, but for Devil May Cry 3 in specific, it's not as bad, but there's still a couple things which need to be mentioned. Number 1, the hair is no longer transparent around the eyes in the HD collection. There's a lot of cutscenes in this game which depend heavily on the way like Dante's like expressions express themselves, and the way the original game did it is that his hair would be covering his eyes a lot of the time, but they mess with the opacity, if that's how you say it, in such a way where you can still see through the hair to see the eyeballs, and it's a really great visual detail. But in the HD collection they redid his hair to be more HD, but they didn't bring back the transparency. There's actually a lot of scenes where his hair is just straight up blocking his eyeballs, and it just makes him less expressive in the HD collection version of the cutscenes. One of the best examples is like the final one against Vergil before you start the final boss fight, where, you know, Vergil charges out and goes, "Ugh!" and then Dante's just staring straight at him. You can see the side-by-side of the original PS2 game and this version of the game, the HD collection, you know, from Xbox 360, PS4 to the Switch, and it's just a straight block of hair, and he just, like, you can't see his eyes at all. Like, it's just, his hair is covering his face, and it just, like, kills the emotive quality of that scene, so that is a big shame. And it also applies to Vergil and Lady to a lesser extent, but the biggest culprit is with Dante because his hair does directly cover his face, while the other ones, their hair is kind of like more back. Another thing which has to be mentioned is that certain lighting effects aren't as prominent. Like, there's the enemy which can summon dudes. I forgot his name. He had this really sick lighting in the original game, while in the HD collection, it's very much more muted or just straight up broken and just doesn't work anymore. Cutscenes and the game in general just lacks depth of field effects, so the really cinematic quality is diluted by just having the focus just be a lot more flat in the HD collection. Everything's sharper, you can see more things, but like just like the, you know, the making things stand out, like, you know, having an object in focus to make it the actual focus compared to the background, that cinematic language is just gone in the HD collection, sadly. One thing, okay, I'm gonna go out on a limb here, I'm not 100% sure if I'm correct on this, but if you want a good contrast of what the game looked like originally on the PS2 versus the changes the HD collection made, you should just look at the cutscenes in the HD collection, which are in-game with like models which can be upscaled, versus the pre-rendered ones, which are just a video file, which they can't upscale because, well, it's a video file, and like they had to make it a pre-rendered because the cutscene that had to be pre-rendered was just too ambitious to do in-game. Something like that. Game development's really complicated. I'm not a game developer myself. Some of this might be a conjecture on my part, if that's the correct way to use the term. But yeah, a lot of the visual effects which I'm talking about are present in those pre-rendered cutscenes because those are still the same cutscenes from the PS2, just, I guess, maybe like stretched out slightly to fit on modern TVs or to fit this collection. So you can see some of those depth of field effects, the transparency in the hair, all that stuff is still there in the pre-rendered cutscenes, which, I mean, they're at a lower frame rate because they're pre-rendered and all that, but you get an idea of like what's been missing in the way they made the HD collection more HD. For example, effects like speed lines and rain effects are less noticeable, and when you get Quicksilver after defeating the blue horsey, the cutscene has like this static effect which happens in the PS2 version, which is just gone in HD. And all of this was brought to my attention by Catbus's video on this, so check out his video right there. And there's a couple more things I gotta mention about Devil May Cry 3. For one, I have to mention Yuji Shimomura, I believe, is the action director. I mean, there's so many moving pieces to this game. Like, game development just has so many moving pieces, which is also known as human beings creating everything. So you never really want to make the mistake of contributing the entire success to a game to one guy. By the way, Deus Ex is such an amazing game. War Inspector can do no wrong. Yuji Shimomura is the action director for this game and is behind some of the best action just out of any game, period. Like, the action sequences in this game just are phenomenal. Just the cinematic presentation in this game is just phenomenal in general. I really love the original Devil May Cry 1. Its story is so much more like clunky and like kind of like corny by comparison. It has its charm, it works for that game, but like it does feel a bit antiquated. This game just feels so much more focused in its presentation. It's a lot cooler. The voice direction just feels so much more like present, like the characters, the way the characters speak gives so much personality. It's not perfect. I think like one standout line, which I'm not a big fan of, is when Dante's like talking to Vergil in the final boss fight and he's like, "And now my soul's saying it wasn't stop you!" Like, that felt a bit awkward, but for the most part, everyone's voice just fits so naturally and has so much character and charisma. It's really great. Another line I'm not a big fan of is like Arkham's final line, because Arkham always speaks in that one specific voice, like, "I'm Arkham and I am this," but then when he's about to get like, you know, executed like point blank, he like, "Oh, I am Arkham and I'm gonna wait, no!" And then he just they just shoot him in the face. He doesn't go that high pitch. He talks more. He screams more like a normal guy, but he just stops doing the voice he was putting on. And it was just really funny. But yeah, no, I'm just a big fan of like the cinematic presentation in Devil May Cry 3. I think it just elevates like everything going on like around the game. And just starting out with that one battle cutscene, he's just like flipping the pool table over. It just puts you in the exact right mood for the game. And the cinematic presentation isn't just there to look cool. It just says so much about the characters so well. Like, the game's honestly pretty good about not like over elaborating on things. I mean, like, it's not like a silent film or anything, but like it's pretty sparse with its words, which maybe might have been out of necessity. I mean, doing all these like really like expensive cutscenes was probably really expensive and time consuming to storyboard. but it just works really well for the game. I mean, even like the final encounter against Vergil before you fight that final boss fight, they get across so much with so little, and it's just beautiful work, man. And yeah, it is much more cinematic in the original PS2 version, so that's a bit of a shame, but it still looks great, like no matter what, but it did look better on the PS2. And another thing I have to mention is that there is an element of kabuki theater to Devil May Cry 3. The color symbolism of Dante with the red and blue with Vergil is very inspired by kabuki theater, and I know a lot about this because I watch to Snaker's Yakuza 7 video where he also mentions that in relation to Yakuza 7's story, and I actually don't know anything about kabuki theater. I'm mentioning it so that you, my esteemed viewer, can look into it yourself. There is parallels, and it's all very interesting. Like the color symbolism of kabuki theater does apply to Devil May Cry 3. And for all I know, the story of like the red Oni and the blue Oni might also apply to Devil May Cry 3, but I'm kind of pulling that one out of my ass because Dante, he's red, Vergil, he's blue. They both get horns sometimes, and you know who has horns? The Oni, red Oni, blue Oni. Oh, don't you love it? The red Oni and blue Oni appears in many stories. If the red Oni and blue Oni connotations with the Phantom Pain, for instance, if you know about them, spoil the major twist of the game. Oops. The red Oni and blue Oni is also mentioned in the movie Tokyo Godfathers by Satoshi Kon, rest in peace. It's mentioned directly inside the main story. It's not like, you know, something you have to look into or subtext. It's blatantly mentioned, so it makes a little bit more sense when you're watching that movie. Great movie, watch Satoshi Kon's movies, fantastic work. And another thing which I really want to mention is that the third half of Devil May Cry 3 kind of sucks. I thought I'd mentioned this like earlier in the video, but like I think the game has an amazing momentum, like, you know, like right up to like mission 13, like you fight like Vergil for the second time, like, you know, those first 13 missions, they're mostly all fantastic. I think there was like one dud, but I can't remember it off the top of my head. But after you fight Vergil for a second time, the game just kind of faps about for like a really long time. Like most of the missions in between, like right up to mission 18, kind of suck. Oh yeah, mission 18, hey, why didn't I do any of the boss fights in mission 18? Because I'm scared. I'm scared. I can't do this no more, man. If I ever no damage the boss fights in mission 18 alone, I think I'd make that its own separate video, but like all like, you know, the boss rush that you get introduced to in mission 18 is just, the fights are so similar that I just didn't really see a point in doing it. But I might do it later down the line, not anytime soon. I mean, like, I've suffered enough. I've suffered enough. Mission 18 is pretty cool, aside from, like, that fuck-ass chessboard. Oh my gosh! Like, one thing which makes the third half of, like, Devil May Cry 3 kind of suck is that the worst enemy types come out to just ruin your night, your day, your week. The Fallen are just terrible. Like, who designed the Fallen? Like, this is, like, one of the most infuriating enemies. Like, the little, like, green, wispy, like, ghost things. I don't know what the fuck they're called. It's infuriating. There's no fun way to fight that thing. That thing is just miserable. But, you know, despite saying this, there is no way in hell that I'm ever gonna give, like, Devil May Cry 3, like, below, like, a 9 out of 10. It's that good that, like, the third half can be kind of ass, but, like, the combat is so good, and the story, music, the match all come together so nicely at the end that it's still one of the greatest hack and slash games of all time, still one of the greatest games. You have to hop on this game if you haven't. I mean, you might get put off because it's pretty hard, and, like, some of the combat things you might not be used to, like, what? Why do I not have a dedicated dodge button? What are you talking about? But it's a great game. It is a great game, and you have to play it. But yeah, I mean, if there's nothing else to mention, I think I'm done. Oh no, there's one more thing. One more topic I have to talk about. If you haven't noticed it before, depending on which weapon you have equipped, when you activate your double trigger mode and you change into like a different beast, you'll find out that your different beasts, compared to your different weapons, they all have different designs. And each of these designs were designed by Kaneko Kazuma. He is the artist behind the most iconic SMT persona, a huge chunk of Atlus's libraries, like just work. He's maybe one of the biggest creative driving forces behind those series, like that series' identity. He has such beautiful art, so much like great symbolism, like just very striking work, and he has passed away. He died at 60, you know, rest in peace. Some of the greatest stuff, like in the PS2 era, PS1 era, some of the most iconic work just ever. Just huge respect to that guy. Devil May Cry 3 had like a weird sponsorship with the third like SMT game, you know, SMT Nocturne. Third SMT game, Devil May Cry 3, third SMT game. They teamed up and Dante got to chill around in SMT Nocturne and be a boss fight. While in Devil May Cry 3's case, the double trigger modes, like the forms, got artistically designed by Kaneko Kazuma. So that's why they look different from the first game. The first game is a little bit more bulky and while here they have a much different thing going on. And you have different ones depending on which weapon you're holding, so there's like slight differences. I think one thing which really sticks out about these forms is just how much slimmer they are than like the ones in the first game. They're very skinny. I think like one way which I like describing them is that they kind of look like adolescent demons, while his forms in future games would be like much more bulky, like ancient demons, like rawr. So when you have like Rebellion, boom, it's like a sick red coat. It's got like ears, flappy ears, nice. But if you have the nunchucks, he gets like sharper ears. Whoa! And he gets like these blue lines like on his legs and all that. Like a little bit of a subtle difference. And then you get like the fire swords. You look like a spider. You're so spiky. You got like arachnid features. Like, it looks sick as hell. And then with like the guitar, like swing, different helmet and all that. And then like Beowulf, boom, it's like a complete iron helmet. It looks like it's covering thing. You got like 0 ears. You got like more like white lines on your legs now. It looks sick. And something which I wanted to mention is that Judgment actually took a lot of inspiration from this game, because when you're using the fire swords, pressing the attack button once does 2 attacks at the same time, just like pressing the attack button once in Tiger style in Judgment does 2 attacks at the same time. And it feels better to do in DMC3. Sorry, I mean, we can't all be perfect, alright? And that is my video. Thank you so much for watching, and with one final thing, it is kind of weird to have a credit sequence and then just continue making a video. So we're having a second credit sequence. Thank you to all my Patreon members. Shout out to them once again. Thank you to Walkman, Oscar29, Centano Nishkino, and Kyle W789. Thank you so much for sticking around for a much longer video with my addendum, and I'll see you all then for my next No Damage. Peace out! Except there's 4 more things I really need to mention. Number 1, the Switch version has input delay. I think I press a button, there's like a half-second delay, maybe. Turning off turbo mode after using it for so long is disgustingly slow. I grinded blood orbs by repeating the final boss on normal multiple times because I never played on easy. Doing it on easy would have been easier, but I did it on normal, the second easiest way to grind blood orbs in Devil May Cry 3 to buy more holy waters. Fuck Arkham! Also, holy waters start off cheap but get more expensive the more you buy, so it's best to strategize around that, and I'll be dipping now. Okay, bye.